Hey everyone, welcome back to Toasting Gnorcs and Talking Mental Health. Today we are talking about a topic that we already have in the past. However, I have so much to say about it and I feel so mentally drained from it that I think it's worth talking about again. And again. And again. And that topic is nightmares. Yeah, so back in, a few months ago, we did talk about nightmares in Jacques, which I feel like is the perfect place to do it, but I don't want to burn you out on that level. So we are here in Magic Crafters, but we talked about nightmares. I talked about just how intense some of mine are, gave a few examples, talked about just the ways that they kind of make me feel for the, throughout the rest of the day. And if you want to check that one out, if this topic is relatable to you, definitely do that. You don't have to do it before this, it's still relevant, but yeah, it's there, it's present. But today I just feel like this is very fresh on my mind because I did have an instance of nightmares this morning that really messed with my entire day. So let's dive into it. Also, we picked this skin for Spyro simply because it looks spooky. I believe it is based on a character from A Hat in Time, which is a game I have not played. But whether that character is spooky or not, I think that the skin is, which makes it relevant for nightmares. And we've got some yellow flame here to match these beautiful glowing eyes. So, this morning I woke up at I won't say what time, because I don't want anyone to judge me on what I consider early, but let's just say I woke up a few hours earlier than I normally do. And my stomach wasn't feeling great. This is a common occurrence for me because I do have IBS. IBS stands for a lovely, lovely string of words called irritable bowel syndrome. Yeah, so don't want to gross you out too much with that, but essentially I have nervous stomach, okay? My mind and my brain, or my mind and my stomach are very closely connected, and therefore sometimes anxiety triggers stomach pain and discomfort for me, and also sometimes foods do, and sometimes just being alive does, because I do have severe anxiety and PTSD, which obviously attributes to the nightmares. So I woke up early, and I intended to wake up early, and I did sleep great, but because I have vivid nightmares and dreams all night, and because I grind my teeth, which segues into a whole other conversation we could have about TMJ, TMJD actually, which we'll get into later, but because I'm just so stressed and tense when I'm supposed to be resting, I wake up feeling exhausted even when I've slept for 8 hours, because while I'm sleeping, I'm having these vivid dreams and nightmares that have my body, even in its sleeping state, tense and stressed and just not having a good time. We're not doing much relaxing. Now, that's not to say that I feel as bad after a night of nightmares as I would if I didn't sleep at all. That's not to say that, because honestly, if I don't sleep at all, I am everybody's problem, and I have to pretty much cancel my entire day because I feel like crap. But it is really hard for me to feel rested and energized when I have nightmares like this. So to top off this specific story, I did decide to take a nap before I needed to start work, because I felt like if I didn't, I would be pretty freaking exhausted and tired. So I took a nap for about an hour, and this is where the nightmares really come in. So, all night I did have very vivid dreams that kept me pretty stressed, agitated, I would say, throughout the night. But when I took this nap before work, I had a type of dream that I sort of explained in my last nightmares video, but I'm going to go into specific detail because this ties into everything I'm talking about on Toasting Gnorcs Talking Mental Health. It ties into religious trauma, it ties into PTSD, it ties into all of it. So this dream that I had, I was at my mom's house, which I do live with my wife on my own now. So it's been a while since I've lived at my mom's house. But I was in my mom's house walking out of the room that I used for... It was pretty much my room when I lived there, but I pretty much had all of my stuff in it. And I had been in that room in the stream, I guess going to get something, going to look for something, I don't know. But when I walked out of the room, I felt like a presence behind me. So silly me in the dream turns around to look at it, and as soon as I turn around, something takes control of my body. My body feels heavy. My body feels smothered and weighted, and it's like I can't breathe, I can't speak, I can't see anything. It's like total blackness, okay? It's what you would imagine would happen if someone... This is a very extreme example, but if you're watching a horror movie and someone were to be possessed, that's what the dreams feel like, and that's what I think is happening in them. So to give you more context, when this happens, and in this instance when it happened, I'm instantly stressed. I'm like, oh crap, it's happening again in the dream, and I'm very aware, I'm very mindful of what's going on, and I know it's the same type of dream that I've had before, and I'm working on ways to get out of that frozen state. So today in the dream, this is how it ties into religious trauma for me. Today in the dream, it was rough because I was having all of these thoughts and anxieties about not truly being loved or accepted by God, which is something that I don't feel like I consciously worry about anymore at the point that I'm at with my own spirituality, but it is just something that has been such a big fear and was so ingrained in me from a young age due to the type of religion I believed in and the way it was taught, that it felt so real. And in order to get out of the frozen state, the possession, whatever you want to call it, I would have to, in this dream, talk about God and say, God does love me, I do believe in God. And I would just like, this is how it's always been. I have had these dreams repetitively since I was young. And they always end the same. I get away. I'm always able to get out of it. But it is the most stressful thing because it is essentially just like sleep paralysis, except I am not awake during it. Because I don't know if you know much about sleep paralysis, but for those who don't, sleep paralysis is something that really makes your body feel frozen. It's like a state that you're in, scientifically speaking. It's a state you're in between sleep and awake. Something in your brain essentially keeps your body still asleep while your mind is awake, and this is what causes people to have sleep paralysis. So I can't say that that has happened to me because I'm dreaming when I have this happen. My eyes are not open. I'm not seeing the room around me. Everything is in the dream and contained to the dream, but I am aware in the dream that it is happening, and it feels real, and it feels like it is happening while I'm awake. So it's a very interesting way to experience. I don't even call it sleep paralysis because I guess it's not, because I'm still dreaming, but it feels like what I've been told sleep paralysis should realistically feel like. So yeah, it's terrible and rough, and so I wake up from that. And it honestly, I won't say it didn't help me rest more because obviously I was in a deep sleep to have been dreaming something that vivid. But it did make me feel exhausted, honestly sicker than when I fell asleep. My stomach was hurting even worse, and that did end up passing, and by the time noon rolled around, I felt pretty much back to normal. But my point is, when you have dreams that are this vivid and that mess with your day to this extent, it is exhausting because, I lost a fourth of my day. I lost a fourth of my day because of things that are completely out of my control. Because I just wanted to rest, simply wanting to get some sleep, feel energized, take care of my body, which is exactly what sleep is for people. just doing that can put a downer on my day and make my day harder, because, and that's just the physical aspect of it, because it makes you wake up feeling exhausted, stressed, anxious, and then you have to calm yourself down and spend time calming your anxiety down. And then what does anxiety do for a lot of people? It causes physical symptoms on top of the exhaustion that you're already feeling and the tension you're already feeling. So that's where, for me, it comes into, you know, my stomach. My stomach might get upset, and then I have to navigate that in my morning before I continue on with my day. So a lot of this is why I have so much anxiety about things I want to do in life. You know, I want to travel. You know, I have places I might need to go, very rarely, but every now and then I do need to travel for work, and it's exciting and it's fun and it's something I look forward to because I love my job and I love my coworkers, and I'm excited to spend time with them in person because I'm not local to them. But again, because these are the types of like barriers of things I have to deal with, I can't just wake up and be normal. And therapists and people will tell you, well, nobody's normal. Normal's not a good comparison, but you know what I mean when I say that, right? You know, do you ever just wake up and wish that you could be neurotypical? You know, because you know life would be, we can't argue it, life would be easier. And at the end of the day, you know, I'm sure outside of a flare-up, I would say, oh, I wouldn't change anything about me because it's what makes me me, and, you know, I'm happy to share my experiences with people, blah, blah, blah. But in that moment when you're not feeling good and you're having to deal with things that you feel like other people aren't, it's exhausting. And I'm sure anybody with any type of physical ailment or mental ailment feels this way. And there are people who probably feel this way more than I do because there are different degrees and variations to our struggles. But the point is that it's hard, right? Having very vivid nightmares and PTSD and anxiety and things that affect your body and your brain is hard, and I think we should talk about it. You know, this example that I gave you all today is the latest because it happened today, literally. And I think, you know, I want to share more instances of these dreams when they happen. It's almost like having a dream journal, but doing it, you know, on the channel. I think it's very relevant, and you know, it makes sense for the mental health series to talk about this. Speaking of nightmares, good lord. Actually, I don't know, those guys are kind of cute in the remaster. But anyway, I think, you know, it's important to see the degree of the dreams and the nightmares when they happen, because it's easy for me to go vaguely tell you I have nightmares and I have PTSD, but to hear the detail and the level of what these nightmares are, and that's just one of the many that I had last night, you know? It's funny, they vary in their severity, in their intensity. So that was the really scary one. That was the bad one, right? That possession type of sleep paralysis dream, you know, that is very heavy. It's very heavy. You wake up, you know, in fight or flight mode. You wake up very scared, disoriented. And I could have a whole episode just on that part of it. But I also had other anxiety dreams, and these are a little bit more funny and we can laugh about them, but still you have to remember at the end of the day that they are anxiety dreams, okay? So these are anxiety dreams that I'm having back to back constantly on top of the awful nightmare that we've already talked about, okay? So another little series of the anxiety dreams I had in the same night were kind of funny. So one of them was actually about YouTube. So here you go, you're getting some insight into anxieties I might have around my own content creation and the stuff that you guys are seeing from me and receiving from me. So the dream I had about that was that I was doing a Let's Play part of Spyro Reignited, which is valid because one actually came out this morning. But I had posted it and I was watching it back to proof it, make sure everything was okay, and I had forgotten to edit out an entire chunk of like me pretty much like popping my jaw and like making silly faces because, and that comes from an insecurity, I'm sure. I do have TMJ, like I said, I'm going to do an entire episode on it. I keep referencing it. It's technically TMJD, but again, we'll talk about it. Essentially, all you need to know about it right now is it is a jaw disorder that comes from overly clenching your teeth. And it has a lot of miserable, annoying side effects to it, and it's really hard to get under control. So, that's all you need to know about it for now. We'll do a full episode on it, but essentially, because I have that, I do have this very bad habit of moving my jaw to pop my ear, because the TMJD has affected my hearing and my eustachian tube, which is the tube that drains from your ear down into your throat, gets the fluid out of your ear. That is a little dysfunctional for me because of the swelling and inflammation from the TMJD, so I have to move my jaw to get that to open up, basically. So anytime I feel my right ear kind of get full and feel like pressure in it, I will have to move my jaw. So I had this anxiety dream that I had done that on camera, because normally if I have to do it on camera, I pause and then I edit it out, but in the dream I had forgotten to edit like a whole section of it out, and I was super anxious because the video had been up for like a long time and people were seeing me look like silly. So yeah, again, that's funny. It's kind of a funny anxiety dream, but that's the kind of stuff that, you know, does occur in my brain, and that is why I would consider a mild one. So like at the very least, the mildest of my dreams are still anxiety dreams, even if they're silly and you would equate them to like the same thing as like dreams people have of going out in public and realizing they don't have pants on or whatever. They're still anxiety dreams. You know, it's not like I'm dreaming about super pleasant, lovely things. It seems to be always the what ifs, the anxieties, the darkness, the sadness, the trauma. So yeah, that is it for this specific episode of Toasting Gnorcs Talking Mental Health with the theme of nightmares. So we're going to do a whole sub-series within Toasting Gnorcs Talking Mental Health about this, because like I said, it's like a dream journal. I think it's interesting to talk about the different types of nightmares that I'm having, see if you guys relate, see if you want to share your own. Does it remind you of anything? Does it help you feel less alone? Let me know in the comments, because if anything, it's therapeutic for me, but it's even better if it's something that you guys are interested in and that you enjoy. So thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you're still enjoying my content, and I will see y'all soon.